So we showed you how to do the hot wax with the iron and really be detailed about it and kind of do the whole thing. I'm going to show you a much more stripped down, dumbed down, simpler version. So if you don't have an iron and all the other stuff that you need and you don't really want to spend the money and spend the time to invest in that, you can still wax your board and still keep up with your friends. So basically this is what I would do in high school basically until I had a hot wax setup. And it works really well, obviously not as good or not as efficient as a hot wax, but still, like I said, it gets the job done and it makes life a lot easier, makes the boarding a lot better. So I'm just going to walk you through really quick what you would do if you wanted to still be able to wax your board, but didn't have all the bells and whistles essentially. Alright, so basically what you're going to need, a rub-on wax. So there's iron-on wax and there's rub-on wax. Some waxes are both. You want some sort of rub-on wax. You're going to want some sort of like cork pad or something. The cork is used to actually rub the wax into the base of the board after you rub it in. You're going to want a scraper to scrape the wax off. You're going to want a brush. This will clean dirt out of the board and any old wax before you apply the rub-on wax. And then also it'll add structure to the base once you're finished with the rub-on wax. And then you're also going to want an edge sharpener. This is just a good tool to have. It's not necessarily for the waxing specifically, but your edges get dull, they get banged up the more you ride, so to have a good edge sharpener to be able to retune things as they get beat up, always really helpful to have. So yeah, let me break it down for you just real quick here. So obviously first thing you want to do is clean the base off. So with this dumbed down version, what we're going to do is just take our scraper essentially, or a brush rather, and this is just a nylon brush. If you're only going to buy one brush, buy a nylon one. I think it's just more applicable to whatever you're going to be doing. So if you are going to have one brush, make it a nylon. And then like anytime you are brushing, whether it's a hot wax or a rub-on wax, just tip the tail, a lot of pressure, and just scrape any crap off the board. Alright, so once you're done with that, you get the tip, get the tail. And this is just a quick demonstration. I'm not doing the whole 9 yards. I just kind of want to break down the step-by-step process of what you'd be doing. So again, once you're done with that, clean off any excess wax that might, or any residue that might be still on the base of the board. Right. And then what you are going to want to do next is we're going to actually take our rub-on wax, and what you're going to want to do is just rub it in. Simple as that. So ideally go tip to tail, but for the initial rub-in, I just kind of get as much in as I possibly can, and then I kind of finish it off with a tip to tail stroke. So I'll just go like this, get nice and rubbed in. And again, like I said, I'm just doing a quick demo here. I'm not actually getting the whole board. I just kind of want to show you the steps. So once you get it rubbed in, then you're going to go all the way down. Alright, so you get that finished. Simple as that. And this is, I believe this is a LibTech banana rub-on wax, but any good rub-on wax will do. And buy all mountain, or all temperature rather, wax. It's good for any temperature essentially, so it's just always a good wax to have. And then what we're going to want to do next is take this little cork pad that we got here, and we want to just rub it into the board. So you're just rubbing it in. I start with a circular motion, kind of like brushing your teeth, just get it in as much as possible. And then once you're done with the circular motion, then I go tip to tail. Alright, so we've cleaned out the old wax and any dirt with the brush. We've rubbed in the new rub-on wax. We've rubbed that wax into the base deeper with the cork. And now what we need to do is scrape. So we're going to grab your scraper here, and I'm just going to do a quick demo. If you want to see me actually go through the whole process of scraping the wax off the board, you can check it out on the video of me me showing you how to do a hot wax. And the reason you scrape it off, you want the board to be as smooth as possible. So the wax gets in the pores of the base, then you want to scrape the excess off. So essentially, yeah, I'm just going to scrape tip to tail, just real simple. Go down, and then, you know, get the edges, again, tip the tail all the way through. Once you're finished scraping, what you're going to want to do is grab that brush again. And I like to just make sure that I get any old crap off it, any shavings. So I just like to put it right into this little trash can of wax shavings that I got over here, which is always really good to have just a little cardboard box or something that the wax can go into when you're finished. And then what I'm going to do here, again, tip to tail, just add structure. So I'm going to start with the actual tip and tail, just get those cleaned down. And then again, tip to tail. So again, what that does is that's going to add structure to the wax and to the base. So basically, when you're riding on a snowboard, the glide that you feel, that weightless glide that you feel, is because there's actually a very thin layer of water in between the base of your board and the actual snow that's melting as you ride past it, essentially. So when you put in structure into the base, you're essentially building these tiny little channels, and then that water can funnel through those channels, which makes you ride faster and makes you glide better. So that's why you want to add structure. Alright, so we have just added structure to the base with the brush here, and now all we want to do is just make sure there's no excess wax or any shavings still on the base of the board. Put on the bindings, and we are ready to ride. And when you're doing a rub-on wax like this, taking the bindings off is not as imperative as it is if you're doing a hot wax. So you don't feel you need that you have to take the bindings off if you are just doing a rub-on wax. And like I said, doing a rub-on wax, it's not going to be as effective as doing a hot wax, and it takes a little bit more elbow grease to get the wax in there and do the whole process. But it works great, especially if you don't have all the gear that you would need to do a hot wax. So it's a really effective way, a low-cost way to still be able to wax your board and still be able to ride fast. And yeah, I know I've got this whole station going on. When I was in high school and waxing boards, I would use wooden blocks that I could put the board on. I would use two fold-up chairs that I could put the board in between. So you can get creative. It's not that hard to figure it out. And then yeah, if you guys have any other questions, want to learn anything else about snowboarding, whether it's taking care of the boards or anything like that, gear to buy, if you're interested in buying new gear, just let me know. I'd be happy to help. Peace out.